Okay, let's talk about the TikTok ban today. So, if you don't know who I am, I'm actually pretty invested in TikTok. I started my entire career off of TikTok. I grew to 6.4 million followers now on TikTok, and I have a lot to credit TikTok for in especially my early days as a creator. And now, obviously, as unless you've been sleeping under a rock, TikTok is probably going to get banned. So, in the past couple of days, we saw that US Congress actually voted on the TikTok ban, and the president, Joe Biden, sorry, he actually signed the order for TikTok to get banned unless they sell the app in the next 9 months. So pretty crazy times right now in the social media world. And I wanted to hop on here and give you guys my honest thoughts as a previous and I guess you could argue current TikToker and just somebody that's seen it since literally the beginning. So I guess where I want to start this off is when I first started using TikTok, it was such a different app from what it is today. I don't know if a lot of you guys watching this video remember the early days of TikTok, but it was more like this fun dancing app where people would go on here, they'd try to like make a dance or try to get something going with like lip syncing or just honestly having a lot of fun. And obviously now TikTok is a very different platform for what it once was. And you could see that in literally your TikTok For You page. I mean, every time you scroll now, it's either a TikTok shop ad, it's an advertisement in general, a lot of politics on there. Everybody on TikTok is kind of trying to carve their own kind of like niche in order to, get views and money. That's low-key what it's just become, sadly. And it went from this fun app to really this app where everyone's just trying to go viral. And I think that this has a lot to do with my thoughts regarding the TikTok ban in general and why, I might argue that it might be for the best. And I know a lot of people watching this are not going to think that way. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Like TikTok, it's this like infrastructure. There's so many small businesses that run on it. And I'm not arguing that. Like I 100% agree that TikTok has such an infrastructure to this point. It's such a vital thing to basically the small businesses. And like there's so much commerce and just so much going on TikTok now that taking it away, it's going to have a pretty substantial impact, I think, even on like the everyday person. But specifically what I want to talk through in this video is what's actually being promoted on TikTok and why I think that, it might not be the worst thing in the world what Congress is doing. I know I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments that are going to tell me I'm an idiot or like that I'm a, freedom, like I hate freedom or whatever. But while I think that it is a shame that what's happening right now with TikTok is basically them trying to silence the app and basically force a sale, I don't think that TikTok has handled all of this in the best way possible. Now, to give you some preface, one of the things that people keep talking about is that TikTok actually does operate in the US. TikTok has a huge data center in Texas that basically facilitates all of the data going through to Americans. And well, while this is like a cool thing and this is something that they could put on the resume as like, look, we do operate in America, I think it's honestly just a facade. I mean, at the end of the day, ByteDance is the one that controls TikTok and is the one that's going to be in control of all of our data. All of us as Americans, we kind of have to bend the knee to ByteDance when we use this app. And they, like, I'm not going to lie. I feel like even right now, like they can listen through my phone. Like TikTok, if you're listening, I'm sorry, don't ban me. But I don't know. I think that it's a pretty dangerous thing when you have a company like China who's banned a lot of US. I mean, if you don't know about the Great Firewall, like there's nothing in China allowed from like US companies. And to kind of have this standard for us to be like, well, we should be able to allow them to freely run in our country. I think it's kind of a dangerous thing. Like you don't really see the impacts day to day of like what people in another country could do with the data of American citizens, but like slowly over time, these algorithms can change and kind of like have a pretty profound impact on us as people. And, like even things such as like promoting fake news on TikTok, that's such a big thing now. Like, I don't know if you guys scroll through it, but there's like not a lot of moderation for the fake news and even like fake advertisements. Like there was this Mr. Beast AI ad that was going viral not too long ago. And that to me was one of the scariest things about TikTok. I don't think that a company that doesn't have to play by, I mean, I guess they kind of have to play by American rules, but they could get away with a lot more because they don't operate in America and they're not like kind of under American jurisdiction as strongly as like an American company. I'm not, by the way, I'm not a politician. Don't vote for me for president. I have nothing to sell you guys. This is just my honest thoughts and my like raw, like kind of like mind fresh off of all of this happening. But I don't think it's a good thing. Like, I don't think that we should be so open to having this kind of app that came out of nowhere. Like TikTok kind of during COVID kind of came from nowhere and basically completely consumed our entire entertainment industry. And there's not a lot of moderation. There's not, like, if you have a TikTok account, you know this. There's not a lot of people at TikTok that you can even get into contact with. And it's one of those platforms where they can kind of get away with doing anything without really a lot of backlash. Like, I've had multiple friends that have 10 million followers on TikTok. That's not an exaggeration. Literally, one of my friends has 11 million followers on TikTok, and they just get straight out banned for no reason, thrown off the platform, deplatformed. And when other companies do this, obviously, like, there's this huge backlash. But because TikTok's so big and because there's not a lot of, like, community around, like, actually supporting the creators on it, they can kind of do whatever they want. So I think that's definitely a bad thing. I also think that the fact that on TikTok, there's been like the promotion of so many spam bots that are trying to promote bad activity. If you know, go to literally any comment section on TikTok and there's these bots that are like to the top of the comment section that are just promoting atrocious behavior. And I also think that like they have so much data on us to the point where like there could be some serious manipulation to people using that app. Like, one of the prime examples I always think of is like one of my friends, they thought that something was going on in their personal life, like it was some sort of medical issue, and immediately when they started going on TikTok, the For You page was just showing them all of these medical TikToks that just like are basically making you overthink. And they went to the doctor, nothing ended up being wrong with them, but like even something as simple as that, like there's a really, really big effect that algorithm has. And, you know, as of the time recording this video, ByteDance actually came out and said that they have no intention of selling to a US company, which I think is kind of, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but like the US, it's such a, like, this is a multi-billion-dollar app, and the fact that they're willing to just close down operations while also just like losing billions of dollars, I think that says a lot to like them not wanting anything in particular to be revealed. I'm not gonna sit here and say like they're bad actors and they're doing all these awful things, but like I think it's a pretty telltale sign when you have this billion-dollar app that you don't want to save by selling. And you know, like I don't know how like multi-billion-dollar businesses work, but to the credit of like I guess TikTok, like maybe they are doing this as a tactic of like we're not going anywhere and kind of like trying to strong arm the US, but I don't think that's going to work, if I'm being honest. Now, what I will say is that when all of these congressional hearings were going on for TikTok, it was pretty funny to see just how out of touch the people in Congress are with all this social media stuff. Like, I'll never forget, one of the congressmen asked, like, does TikTok go into your Wi-Fi? And it's like, well, if you're on your Wi-Fi, of course, any app that you're going to use is going to go onto your home Wi-Fi server. Like, that's just how it works, you know, like that's nothing new, and every other app is doing this. So for them to be asking those types of questions, it's a little crazy to me. But back to the TikTok ban, do I think that this is a good thing or a bad thing? It's really hard to tell. Like I obviously want there to be freedom in this country. I mean, that's literally what America was based on, but at the same time, like if they're not willing to play by the rules of America, it's tough. So I do think that a sale would, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that disagrees with this, but like I do think selling the app would probably be the best case scenario for everybody, but they're not biting. They clearly don't want to do that. They don't want to. I remember there was a point where they were talking about how they might sell it without the algorithm, which would just completely destroy the app. Like that, the algorithm is the entire app. But you know, like it's tough. It's a really tough position for all these people to be in. And as somebody that like has been on TikTok from the beginning and like has kind of like seen it go through all of these waves, I don't know that I'm a fan of where TikTok has landed in this current era, I guess, of social media. And it's kind of, you know, it's kind of scary in my opinion. One other story I'll never forget is my little cousin using his TikTok account literally right next to me, just scrolling, and he's like 8 years old. I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't even be on TikTok in the first place. That's a whole nother argument for another day. But I'll never forget that he was going through and he saw this Roblox video on his feed, and well, it played the first 3 seconds of the Roblox video, And then it just went into the most like sexual content that you could even imagine. Literally, like, I can't say it on YouTube, but it was literally something that you would see on the Orange and Black website. I'm not going to say the website. I don't want to get banned or demonetized here on this new channel. This is literally my first video. But that was one of the moments for me where I realized, oh, maybe this isn't something that has our best interests in mind. And, you know, that kind of like changed my mind a little bit about TikTok from day one. Whether or not it should be banned, that's a whole nother question. I personally think that if they're refusing to sell and they don't want to be in the US, then I think it has to kind of be banned. Like, I know that there's so many people, like so many businesses that run on it, so much reliance on it. And I wish that TikTok would play by the rules and be like, oh, we see you guys. Like, we know that this is something that is so valuable to all of us. But who knows, man? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments too. Let me know what you guys think. And by the way, this is the first video on this channel. If you're new, please subscribe, like the video up, and until next time.